Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, and today I've got a game for you with Con driving his Patrie, the Tier 11 French BB, and I think you might enjoy this one. And Con was kind enough to send me a screenshot of his commander skills here, so if you want to take note you can do at this point. So, early game, you can see our hero in the Patrie already spotted by planes, and the first targets pop up. Zoomer at 25.8 kilometers and shots away. See how we get on with that. Anti-air already going. Shot 2 aircraft down, and yes, of course he's being attacked by the aircraft carrier, but it does get a penetration on the Zoomer at yeah, nearly 25 kilometers. So shots out for round 2. That's a fairly long travel time, right? Then yes, the Zoomer managed to avoid that salvo, and Con's coming under fire here, changing course and speed, manages to avoid the incoming pretty much. Shots out on Kerr first. Let's see if we get any luck with this salvo. Yeah, not bad, 11,000. Pretty reasonable hit, 20 kilometers. We'll go for round 2 on the Kerr first. 20.6 kilometers. So we can see a Satsuma and Gdansk on the left flank, and that's nearly 14k. So yeah, not too bad to start. Hindenburg's push again. Long range. But I think, you know, the penetration on the Patrie's guns is pretty decent, and the accuracy is obviously good at reasonably long ranges. And yes, he manages to get a strike on the Hindenburg at 23 kilometers as well. So just searching for targets. Hindenburg again, maybe? Who's just taking a big hit. So yeah, 1 over pen on Hindenburg and shots out on the Kerr first. What always strikes me about my old friend's gameplay here is the way that he prioritises his targets and quickly establishes what needs to be shot first. And doesn't hang about with the aiming either. Very quick to aim. Alternating fire from the front turrets and back turrets as well, which gives him a little bit more scope to choose targets of opportunity, I think. Montana's going to turn. This could be interesting. Let's have a look at this salvo. So just spreading the love a little bit there. If you noticed, he moved his cursor from left to right as he went from the front turrets to the back turrets, and yes, Citadel, nice. could have been better, could have been worse, I suppose. Midway, 22.8 kilometers away. Unfortunately, it looks like the Midway took out our friendly Daring. Yes, indeed. Which is a shame, and the Midway's coming in for a drop on Con. So he's not... Oh, nice 2 Citadels there on Montana. It's nearly down. Great shot, that.
Torpille à tribord.
And yes, the Midway's coming in for a drop. And focusing Con down, has just been pinged by the submarine. And he's got incoming shells. Satsuma's border humping, so we'll get shots out on him. And Con's going to turn away to try and escape the fish from the submarine. So, yeah, it's all happening early game. A lot of pressure being applied by the enemy here. The submarine's very deep. And Con's had to retreat all the way to the H-line here. But the Hindenburg is kind of pushing round, and that's possibly a mistake. Incoming torps from the sub run out, thankfully. And yeah, Con gets the Hindenburg. Nice first kill there.
On a détruit un croiseur ennemi.
So early game evaluation suggests that nobody's getting the caps. And Con switches to an HE salvo on the curve first.
All stations, concentrate fire on that target.
Con's team are in the lead on points.
Roger.
In the lead with kills as well. 2 ships ahead. The enemy have lost both their DDs, which is a bonus if you're driving in a battleship, of course. But they still have a submarine at large. And the aircraft carrier, of course. Okay, first is focusing on Con. Con gets a fire on the curve first, which is nicely ticking away there. Another HE salvo out on the curve first, and you'll notice that Con's adrenaline rush is working quite well. His reload is down to around about 20 seconds, I think, at this point. In fact, we can have a look at that when he shoots his next salvo. No, 23 seconds. But, you know, that's a pretty swift reload for a battleship. And yes, the curve first goes down. And coming up to just over 190,000 damage. So some long range shots out on the Satsuma, sticking with the HE. .26 kilometres is quite a long range, I guess. But I figure Patrie's pretty well suited to long range fire. That's 3 pens and 1 non-pen. So yeah, got a fire that was insta damage Con there, so maybe we can get a perma-fire.
À tous les bâtiments, commencez la capture de la zone.
Con's using his speed boost as well, and you can see the Patrie don't hang about. You know, nearly up to 35 knots in a big battleship is quite impressive. So at this point, do you think this would be quite convincing? I mean, just exchanged another couple of ships there. The Napoli B and Azuma went down. And Con's going to try and push around on this flank. And looking for any targets of opportunity you can spot on the way, but there's nothing capable of spotting on this side apart from the 3 battleships that are here. The Kremlin, the Vermont and Con wide on the flank. And that enemy submarine's probably still around somewhere, but who knows, could be anywhere, right? Could be anywhere. See, the Vermont sent some depth charge bombers out. Con's doing the same. And you know, you can see they're pretty clueless as to where the whereabouts of this submarine, and you know, they're impossible to detect, aren't they? Unless you've got something that's right on top of them with hydro at 2 kilometres. Right, so the Satsuma's absolutely running away at this point, and our 3 teammates on this side are all taking shots at it. And that's another fire, which is grand. And that's been damage conned. Satsuma's shooting at Con. Another shot out.
Boost des moteurs activé.
Rear turret out. Still firing HE. Little bit of damage there. And another fire. I think that one might stick, don't you? Con's just making sure that he doesn't come into contact with the border there. Doesn't want to get slowed down. And he's going to make a right turn so he can keep eyes on the Satsuma. More HE out on the Satsuma.
Requesting assistance.
A little bit of chip damage. Damage to the secondary battery.
Reporting a target's position.
And now we can push the flank. Kremlin's taking the Alpha Cap, which is good, but you know, the enemy have clawed the points back somewhat. Con's team are still in the lead. 245 versus 221. Satsuma's shooting at Con, so Con turns the boat in. And the Satsuma misses by quite a way, actually.
Sous-marin ennemi détecté.
The ship speed's been increased there. I think he must have one of the special French captains on. And that's a high caliber, pops up 238,000 damage.
J'ai besoin d'un appui.
Boost des moteurs désactivé.
Satsuma's still firing at Con. And Con's returning fire with his HE. And that was a good salvo. 12,000 there with HE.
I need support.
But if you look at the top of the screen, it looks as though the friendly team is trying to throw this game. The enemy in the lead on points, and the teams are now even on ships. But it's not really even, is it? Because the enemy team have got an aircraft carrier. So yeah, and a sub. We've got Louisiana in Charlie Cap. He's going to get focused down, no doubt. Being alone there, Con gets an AP salvo out on the Satsuma. His broadside. Trying to turn away. Nice 16k salvo there. He's also got a Montana to contend with on his right. So he's splitting the difference between the two of them, making sure that his battleship is angled appropriately to mitigate any incoming damage, of course. Switching back to the HE.
Bon travail.
Turning into the Satsuma that's shooting him. And that's another fire. Doing consistent damage here. More HE out than Satsuma. Really needs to get rid of this guy before he can turn back in. Malta gets a nice drop on the Satsuma, although he's been out of the game for some while. That's another fire on Satsuma. And the Midway's coming in for another torque drop on Kyon. He's going to take a lot of damage here. Nothing he can do about it, but he does take out the Satsuma there, which is great for a witherer. And 304,000 damage.
Demande d'appui.
So, you know, not too shabby.
J'ai besoin de données de reconnaissance.
Montana looks almost stationary here.
Problème résolu, chef.
And we can see the Midway briefly.
J'ai besoin de données de reconnaissance.
Now, unfortunately, the enemy submarine's just taken out our Vermont, which is not great. And the enemy are in the lead on ships. And the points are very close. And of course, the planes are still hounding Con. There's no getting away from those aircraft. And the Montana's returning fire. Con's on quite low health at this point, so he could go down. But he does manage to mitigate that incoming salvo quite nicely. He's trying his best to kite that, and he does, and manages to get a fire on the Montana. Oh, just passing 320,000 damage now. Montana's got more shots out on Con, 20 kilometres, and he's kiting away, desperate to stay alive at this stage of the game. Now, because the friendly team have now managed to get 2 caps, they're ticking into the lead quite nicely now. Nearly 100 points in front. So it's been a bit of a seesaw ride as this one. And one of the closest games that I've seen for a little while, it must be said. Most games these days are not close at all, as you're all probably aware.
Capturez cette zone. They
usually run fairly quickly in the favour of one team or another. Okay, so now we know that the enemy Balau's in Bravo Cap. And taking that to try and halt the points gain that Con's team are enjoying at the moment. Midway's sent more torque bombers towards Con, and we've got just over a minute left in the game. So shots out on Montana. Con's turning in towards the Midway's incoming torpedo bombers. Gets another fire on the Montana. And he's going to try and thread the needle through the incoming torch blind. And he does take one there. And he's got an AP salvo out on the Montana. The Kremlin's in a pretty good state, has to be said. But he's completely broadside to the Montana. So that might not end well.
Problème résolu, chef.
And no, it didn't end well, did it? Good grief. Kremlin. What were you thinking? So anyway, 11 seconds to go. Midway's coming in for another drop. Oh, Con spots the Montana. So we're on 362,000 damage, and that is a victory. And Con's managed to stay alive. Which is somewhat of a miracle in my eyes. And he ended up doing 392,000 damage. Quite an amazing amount of damage. Pretty impressive game by Con there. Didn't even get 3,000 base, but you know, 3 kills, high caliber, with a dreadnought. Yeah, pretty impressive. Palau got 4 kills. Devastating strike for the Montana and a devastating strike for the enemy Riga. Let's have a look at the damage. 123k on Satsuma, 88 on Kurfürst, 15 on Hindenburg, 92 on one Montana, nearly 67 on the other, a little bit on the Azuma, and 18 planes shot down. So I think you'll join me in congratulating Con for pulling his team out of the proverbial shit. And yeah, look at that. It lost 140,000 credits. Yeah, and as always, guys, thanks ever so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.